Hello, everyone. Welcome to our third webinar. So today we have a very interesting topic. So we're going to talk about the marketing in manufacturing industry, marketing for shops, for service bureaus, and we have a special guest today. So it's Dale Bertrand. Dale actually based in Boston. He's the engineer and also have like huge experience in marketing and especially marketing for manufacturing companies. So today we're going to talk about a few topics. So first of all, of course, about the positioning your shop in a very crowded market of manufacturers. Also, we talk about, of course, we give some examples of, I would say, good positioning and bad positioning. We will talk about how to use and how to develop your competitive advantages, to help your shop to grow. And also we touch base on the DigiFabster initiative on the PPE. So that's our topics for today. So I give a word to Dale. So Dale, welcome.
Oh, welcome. Well, thank you for having me. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. So if you're logged in and listening, if you have a chat or even if you have like the questions or if you can raise your hand, just let me know you can hear me. Just say, I'm here, I can hear you, anything like that. Let me know. If you can do it in the questions, do it in the questions. Can I see? I don't see. Answer questions. Just want to make sure that we're live here. If anybody, I see no one raising. Oh, I see a bunch of people raising their hand, so that's good. So then we can do it that way. I did want to get Constantine and I were talking about possibly setting up a poll to kick this off, so we understood who all was on the line and what you guys do. It seems like we're not going to have chat, so if you guys could answer this by putting something in the questions, it would really help us to understand who's on the line and how we can best help you guys. But I'm really curious, like, how many of you are service bureaus? Like, if you're a service bureau, put it in the questions. Just say you're a service bureau, and if you don't mind, like what your revenue is, so we can have an idea how big the service bureaus are that we're talking to right now, and just basically where you at with your marketing. Put it in the questions, since that seems to be the best way for us to communicate right now. And I'm opening up the questions, seeing what we have. Service bureau. So we've got one service bureau that just started. So thank you, Lisa. That helps a lot because we can definitely make sure that we cover service bureaus who are just starting out. Anybody else out there, if you want to let us know, let us know your service bureau, let us know your revenue. We would love to understand that. So just in terms of what we're going to do, like if you have a question, definitely put it in the questions at any time. We want this to be a two-way conversation. Also, if you have a question and you don't mind talking, we are going to unmute people so that we can make this more of a two-way conversation instead of just a lecture. So feel free to use the hand over to the left of the GoToWebinar control panel. There's a little hand where you can press that button to raise your hand. We're happy to answer questions. So it looks like we've got a couple service bureaus who are just starting up, and then we've also got Nick, who's been around for a while. So I appreciate all of you on here. So so Constantine, I'm going to get started if you're ready to go.
Yes, please. Yes, thank you.
So Constantine, you and I were having a conversation about positioning, and I know that for you, like one of the biggest problems with a lot of the service bureaus that you're working for, that you guys are working with at DigiFabster, is lead generation. Trying to figure out like how do you get more leads in the door? How do you market efficiently with limited resources? And then also, how can you get referrals from other folks in your space and build partnerships? And then when it comes to pricing, how we can command top dollar for pricing, or at least not feel like we need to do discounting in order to get clients into the door. But Constantine, how does that sound? Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so we're working with hundreds of different shops, from very small to very big shops, and of course, the marketing budget is always very different. But I would say that shops, even small shops, finding the very creative strategies on how to position the shop, how to show the, some competitive advantage on their website, how to translate it to the customer. So I think we need to discuss, like, if you like to show a few examples how to position your shop on the market, and yeah, and show your competitive advantages. Yeah.
Yeah, so then I will give some examples. When we're talking about positioning, what we're talking about is what makes your shop unique. What makes your shop unique and valuable so that you are differentiated from all of the other shops out there. Now, when I was putting together this presentation, what I did was I went online and I was searching for 3D printing service bureau, and then I was searching for architecture service bureau, automotive, aerospace, like all the different industries that I could think of. And what I was looking for is I was looking for, I was looking for some service bureaus that had really positioned themselves to be focused on a specific industry or anything like that. And I just didn't find it. What I found is a number of service bureaus that were all just basically all of their messaging around what they do was the different technologies and materials and processes and lead time. And if you think about it, like if you're starting a new service bureau, the market might not need you. And the market might not need you if you're basically offering the same services as everybody else and you're not offering any type of value on top of it. And the way to think about this unique and valuable positioning is not just like you're doing better than everybody else or something that nobody else can do, but it's really the messaging around what you do. Like if you were the best service bureau for architects, then you would want that to be front and center on your website, and you would want to basically make an argument in all of the marketing and website and conversations that you have, that because of the case studies you have, because of your expertise, and because you've been focused on that industry for a while, like you are the best service bureau to work with. And then the other thing that I want to throw out there, Constantine, this is a new one for a lot of people. So Constantine, I want to know what you think of this one, is the rule of 10-1000. And the rule of 10-1000 is the sweet spot for your positioning as a service bureau is that you've got no more than 10 competitors, which is 10 other service bureaus that are basically do exactly what you do, that have the same positioning, and you have no less than 1,000 customers out there that care very deeply about the unique and valuable positioning that you've outlined there. And just quick example I'll give off the top of my head. When I was searching around putting together this presentation, I looked for service bureaus that do 3D printing, mostly plastics in Los Angeles that serve the entertainment industry. So you can imagine a service bureau located in LA that is basically does full service, everything related to 3D printing plastics that you could imagine. They're pretty not differentiated, other than the fact that they're in LA and they might be able to get customers because customers are near them in LA. But then you could imagine a service bureau that is still full service, but in their marketing, they're focused on the entertainment industry. Now that's interesting, because if I'm in the entertainment industry looking for 3D printing services, I would want to talk to somebody who speaks my language, who's hopefully nearby, who has experience in my space. Now you could also imagine taking your positioning in this example even farther, and in not just the entertainment industry, but going deeper where you focus on costumes only. So not sets, not models, but costumes. And then all of a sudden, wow, this is where we're getting into the rule of 10-1000 in terms of how many competitors are there out there that can say that, like, that's what they're focused on. Now, remember, you still might be a full service bureau, but your marketing would really be focused on costumes for the entertainment space. But then if you really wanted to go crazy, you could dig even deeper, and you might be going after cosplay, or maybe you're looking for customers who all attend the Comic-Con conferences. So if you really want to go crazy with your positioning and go deep, you could be the 3D printing service bureau for Comic-Con attendees or something like that. But I just wanted to give that story to just tell the whole range of positioning there. But Constantine, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting idea. I mean, it's pretty obvious in terms of, let's say, startups when you're looking for the market, where, of course, first of all, you have a huge market for the customers, like tens of thousands of the customers. At the same time, you're looking for the market where it's not I'm not saying like not a lot of players, but yeah, maybe 10, 20 players, so it's not too crowded, and you can develop your positioning in that way, so you can be unique. So you can provide some unique value for, you know, thousands or tens of thousands of the customers. And it's interesting, especially in Los Angeles area, because here, for example, we have a huge entertainment market, but at the same time we have a huge aerospace market. So it's absolutely two different markets, but you can actually play with your positioning and find your niche. So yeah, it's completely makes sense. Yep.
And before we move on here for some more examples, like I just want to revisit the benefits. Like, why are we putting so much effort into our positioning? The Once you've identified what you like, how you want to position your agency, then your marketing gets a lot easier. I'm calling this marketing efficiency. But you could imagine, just staying with the example of like being focused on the entertainment industry, if you happen to be located in LA or something like that. You could make a list of the top like 100 businesses, film studios that you want to work with. And all of a sudden, instead of being focused on the additive manufacturing industry or being focused on like the manufacturing space, you're focused, like you've got partnerships that you can make within the entertainment industry. You're going to entertainment conferences. You're sending cold emails to contacts at different studios. Like this is how the marketing gets more efficient. And then when it comes to referrals, like anytime you tell somebody what you do in your space or in the entertainment industry, given this example, you want them to remember that you're unique. And the next time they run across somebody who needs something unique that you offer, they say, "Oh, wait a minute, yeah, I remember. I just talked to Jim, and he focuses on the entertainment space. You should really talk to him. He's the guy you need to talk to." And that's how you get referrals, rather than being one of many service bureaus. And when you're one of many service bureaus, you're not referable. Because you're one of 100 different service bureaus that your contacts know that could service a customer that they're working with. And then when it comes to pricing, we don't want to discount. Like you have to, if you're going to be on this webinar, you know, take free advice from me. Just promise me that you're not going to discount, because discounting to get business is a crutch. Like it's competing on price rather than competing on value. And like we're talking about in this webinar, about positioning is really how you're going to get that value. And then when it comes to partnerships, you're going to want to partner with people who run events in the industries that you're going after. You're going to want to partner with other consultants and agencies. Maybe they do marketing in the entertainment space. Maybe they do set design and you focus on costumes. But once you've got that positioning down on where you want to focus, it starts to become obvious who the right partners are, because you obviously want to work with partners who have your target ideal customer, because you can send customers, you send these 3D printing clients both ways. You can send them to your partner for marketing, if that's what they do, if they're a marketing agency, and they can send you referrals for prototyping or set design or whatever it is, if they need help there. All right, so then moving on here, if there are any questions about any of this, oh, well, there are questions. So Jim Collins said, how can you still send the message that you are cross-disciplined in your offering when you're talking about specializing in one area? Or are you saying that you tailor your marketing to all? So the thing is that this is tricky. Like at the end of the day, you're going to be pretty full service and cross discipline, and you're going to service customers in more than one area. If they come to you, their money's green, they have a project that you can deliver, like you're going to do it for them. So that part of it isn't the problem. The part of it where we want to be focused is in our marketing. So who are we proactively reaching out to? And what messaging do we have on our website? Now, if you're a larger service bureau doing like $1 million plus in business, you have the opportunity to deploy marketing in more than one area. So in that kind of case, like put up a website that shows you focusing on automotive and aerospace and architecture and entertainment, and just make sure that you can back it up. Because if you're going to focus on any one area, and if you're going to focus on multiple areas at the same time, you're diluting them. And you're going to need case studies in each of them. And you're going to want to do some direct outreach in each of them. And you're going to want to have a dedicated landing page on your website for each of them. If you're just getting started, as we know, like a bunch of people on this webinar are just getting started, I would get started in one area and then build on top of that. So remember, even if you're just getting started, you'll service anybody as long as you can deliver the service and you know they're going to be happy with it. But your marketing, you want to focus on that bullseye so that your marketing is efficient. And then if that area works for you, then awesome. You can double down on it. You can add another area so that you're going after multiple industries. But if you're just starting out, I would really just focus on one. We have another question here. Constantine, I'm going to ask you to read the questions and then summarize them after me, because I'm going to get myself confused if I'm going through this and reading through the questions at the same time.
Yeah.
Jim, thank you for your thank you around the answer to that question. So I'm going to move on to the slide, and Constantine, just interrupt when we have a question that I should answer.
Yeah, we have a couple.
Oh, go ahead, Constantine.
Yeah, we have two more questions. One from Zagdi. So he asking about what is being said goes with the assumption that the market is mature and customers know what to expect from your service, such as a business.
So then the question is, how do you educate your customer base? So I think this is really important. If you're selling like metal services in automotive or aerospace, like they're pretty darn sophisticated in terms of what they're looking for. If you're offering, like the example that I gave, like you're in the entertainment industry and you're printing plastics for costumes or set design or something like that, they're going to be less sophisticated, and your marketing is going to include more education. So the real answer, and Zadi, please let me know if I'm answering the question. We can have you speak if you want to hop on and explain it to me. But so the real answer to this is, based on the market you're going after, it's up to you to understand how sophisticated they are and how much education they need before they can use your service. And if they need education, that's what your marketing should be focused on. So you're building content, doing webinars, videos, building out your website with all the education that they need, basically so they'll be ready to buy. So Zadi, feel free to ask a follow-up question if I didn't get that right. But the example that I want to give an example of awful positioning. So I went around the web. I'm not going to out these guys by telling you where I found this. But basically, I'm on a service bureau website, and they say, we are the premier provider of online 3D printing services for rapid prototyping. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we have an extensive network of local services in US, Asia, Europe. You can order online. You can upload a CAD file. We do additive manufacturing, and we strive to maintain high operational standards, quality 3D prints, low prices, and fast order fulfillment. Now, the question I would ask you is, like, if I were to just tell you that and you had say, oh, who I know who they are, like that's everybody. there are literally thousands of service bureaus who can say exactly the same thing. So if this is your positioning, which is basically, we offer the same benefits as everybody else, so good luck deciding between us and 1,000 other services, then you're going to be out of luck when it comes to your marketing. And Constantine, I wanted to throw this one to you. Have you seen this one before?
Many times actually. Yeah, it's pretty common.
Identify who they are. I just mean, have you seen this type of positioning on a service bureau website?
Yeah. So I don't think it might be a common mistake for on a marketing site. And again, so I'm a big fan of the ICP, right? So ideal customer profile. So this is something that you need to build like from the beginning. So when you really understand who is your targeting customer, where they are, what they want, and you just build one profile, it's always good to start. It's always good to start from that one, that single profile, that single need to fulfill this need, and then of course move forward to the next. So yeah, that's for sure.
And then in this description they go on to say that they work in pretty much every industry: consumer goods, engineering, architecture, medical, jewelry, automotive, and more, which covers everything. So it's really hard for me to believe that they're going to speak my language if I happen to be in the jewelry space, or maybe I'm coming to them from the automotive space. Have they ever worked with anybody in my space, or are they just claiming that they do everything? Are they going to speak my language? Do they know? Do they know the first thing about parts in my space? So let's move on here. So developing your position, we wanted to give some concrete steps, and it really starts with your competitive advantages. So competitive advantages could be things like case studies. So you worked with Boeing and you've got a glowing testimonial for Boeing. That's going to go a long way for helping you work with parts manufacturers or anybody in the aerospace industry. And then specific industry expertise, lead time. It depends on what they're looking for and what you can provide. And remember, like, bragging about like, hey, we can get this done quickly, we can get it in the mail tomorrow, like that's only unique and valuable to the extent that it's unique. And other folks in the same industry can't do that. And then you might have unique materials. Once again, it really does need to be truly unique. And then ease of ordering. Ease of ordering is definitely an upside if you're using an online ordering tool like DigiFabster. And then local businesses. So if you're physically located in the same city, same state, we know that that's going to give you a leg up. And then rare materials. Same. We've got a duplicate there. So what I wanted to see if we can unmute somebody who's listening. So the question I want to ask the people who are listening: is there anybody on the webinar who's running a service bureau, and you've got some competitive advantages that we can talk about right now for 1 or 2 minutes quickly as an example to work this through? If so, raise your hand, hit the raise hand button, which is to the left of the control panel, and I'm going to see if I can detect anybody who is raising their hand, who is willing to. I see Jonah. So Jonah, we're going to see if we can make the technology work here and unmute you. And I am not having. See if you can unmute him, Constantine, because
yes, I can. One moment.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, Jonah, you're unmuted.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Jonah,
yes.
How you doing?
Sorry, say that once more.
I said, Jonah, how are you doing today?
Doing well. How about you?
Good. Do you mind just saying quickly who you are, what you do, 1 or 2 sentences?
Certainly. So my name is Jonah. I am working with 3DX Tech, and we are launching our service bureau and getting into the marketing portion. I've been running my own shop for 4 or 5 years now, kind of as an all-in-one service bureau like you were just talking about. So now we're going to specialize a little bit more on what we do at 3DX.
Oh, great. No, I love the fact that you've got, two types of or experience in 2 different organizations. So when you were running your own shop and you were full service, and a little, I guess, a little bit more less focused than the company that you're in now. Like, how did that work for you in terms of your positioning around the benefits that we had talked about? So around like marketing, referrals, pricing, partnerships, all that.
So it's really interesting. It started out with just a lot of small, low-cost orders. Just coming in as a new player, we managed to just hammer out tons and tons of prints at a really low cost, which isn't really scalable, but it brought us into some decent contract work. So we got some DoD contracts, and then something you were talking about with Hollywood. Some stunt double called me one day, and we started making parts for him, and that led to some other contracts out there in the entertainment industry. So a lot of it was just slamming out a ton of orders to get customers in, and then focusing on and building relationships with those customers to get referrals and to get better contracts in.
So I love that story, because that's, I mean, you're going from just starting out, where pretty much you'll do anything because you're trying to get your foot in the door, to then you went through the process of figuring out, like, what industries are we really going to play in, are we going to focus on? And for a service bureau that's just starting out, that's usually based on your first contracts, because now you have case studies and you've got some expertise. And then you get into more positioning and focus around your marketing, because it's easier. And Jonah, really quickly here, just going back to the other slide that we have here about developing your positioning, for the new, more focused services at your current job, what are your competitive advantages that you could build your positioning around?
Yeah, so it's really interesting for us. This shop, we manufacture the filament in-house and we manufacture the printers in-house. So we have tracing and tolerance and control over every aspect of our FDM printing. So we'll be able to create a lot better, more unique materials that we can custom formulate and that we control every aspect of to do the prints.
I see. And then the question that I would ask around that is, what are the use cases? What are the industries? Like, who are the specific customers that would care most about that competitive advantage? And remember my 10-100 rule here. We want to get differentiated enough that there are only 10 other service bureaus who can claim to offer to do what you do.
Absolutely. So one of the big things is our filament production has always focused on high-end aerospace materials. And so we have a massive customer list of people who have purchased the filament and people that we built relationships with. And the reason why we're building our own printer is because there isn't one that exists to print a lot of the high-end materials that we make. When people ask us, what printer should I use? We have to say, we don't know. It doesn't exist on the market. You know what? We'll build our own. And so that's our customer base coming in, is the same customers that we've had building the relationships, is we can now print these materials for you. You don't need to buy the printer and spend all the time and hire new engineers. So It's a lot of aerospace and it's a lot of really big names in US defense. A lot of those companies that we already have relationships with that I'm then going to take over and do a lot of printing for them.
I see. Okay, all right. Well, Jonah, thank you for going into the hot seat here and helping us understand. Is there, Constantine, if you could mute everybody again. I don't know if I just muted myself. I did not. Anybody else who wants to raise their hand and talk about competitive advantages for your service bureau? So we are looking for one more. If anybody's interested, we're looking for one more. I don't see any hands raised, so we're going to move on. Going once, going twice. Don't see it. So
while we're waiting, we have a question from Zardi about he actually concerned about spending the time to educate the market, because when he did it, like, other competitors can come and doesn't spend that much resources and then take the customer base.
Yeah, so I mean, what I would say about that is marketing and differentiating yourself, entrenching yourself in an industry is always a race. It's always a race. So the way to think about it is, if you were to decide not to educate the market, then one of your competitors could do it, and then you'll be left behind. But educating the market and educating your customers is an opportunity, because if you're the one that understands their unique problems based on what they're trying to do, their industry, their materials, whatever else it is, you win. So I wouldn't look at educating as an expense that you're spending on behalf of the whole industry. If you're doing it right, you're doing it in a way that you're very efficiently only educating like the customers that are your ideal customer. And through the process of educating them, they're going to realize they should work with you, not these other guys who fail to demonstrate to them that they understand your ideal customer's unique problems. So I really feel like it's that marketing aspect where you're building trust with them that really negates this thing that you're doing marketing on behalf of your competitor, because you're not really. You're deepening your relationship with your customers. And then we have Jim, who asked the question, would you reposition this client? So Jim, I assume you're talking about the bad marketing example that I gave. And it really depends on how big they are. So if they're just starting out, then I would reposition them, start with one ideal client profile in one industry, and then branch out from there. Keep in mind that's your marketing, not like you will deliver services to anybody whose money is green that you can do a good job for. But if they're bigger, then they can go after multiple industries. We just need to make sure that they have the resources to do it effectively, and they put the content on their website, and they've got case studies for the different industries that they're going after. So moving on, definitely continue to ask questions if any come to mind. So we're on the example here of better positioning, which is Titanic Design. So they're a full service shop. I want to keep that clear. Like they'll do anything that makes sense for them to do. But if you go to their website, they have a big focus on architecture and also trade show props. So if you need an architectural model printed, these guys have a lot more credibility when it comes to getting the job done because of their case studies, their awesome website, their focus on it, their experience in the space. Like if you go to their website, you can see that they've just got a massive amount of experience in that space, and they demonstrate it beautifully on their website. The other area that they're focused on is trade show props, and I would say the same thing about that. They do a wonderful job just demonstrating that they can speak the language of trade shows and sales at trade shows and running them well and all that. And they do a great job in that area. So I've got these guys up here as an example. We have one more question. I'm going to move to the last slide. So I have Judy saying, my competitive advantage right now is ease of ordering, which is pretty cool. And I thought that was a question, but that is pretty cool.
The next one of the question.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, he asked about where to draw the line. Yeah.
Oh, where do you draw the line, and where do you go all in on educating them step by step? So first of all, you want to really define who your ideal target customer is, and like what service are they looking for, what industry are they in, what's their budget. Like you want to go really deep around who that ideal customer is, and then from there you want to define use that to define your positioning. You want to make sure once you've done that you've got this 10-1000 positioning that I'm talking about. So there's no more than 10 service bureaus that can claim to really service that ideal customer the same way that you would be able to. And then you also want to make sure that there's enough of them. That's why we have the 1,000. Now, if you're in the defense industry or aerospace, there's just going to be less, but that's okay. The same type of thing applies. And then in terms of, where do you draw the line? Do you go all in and educate them step by step? Like, you really want to add as much value as you can and let them know. Like, when you're adding value, you're helping them, you're adding value, you're educating them on 3D printing and anything related to them to be useful. Now, remember, you're not just educating them on how to buy your services. Like, this is when to call us, this is how much it's going to cost, and this is how we accept these types of credit cards. Like, that's not real education. Education that we're talking about is something that's useful to your ideal customer. And that could be around CAD design. It could be around file formats, file conversion. It could be around hiring a designer to build your product, and then we will print the prototypes. So remember, the education, it needs to be useful to them. And then you need to use that as an opportunity to remind them and what you do and let them know what you do. But that doesn't mean that you're exclusively educating them on your service. And what I would say is, like, the amount of education like you would do is you would want to be as helpful as possible to your ideal customer, because that's what's going to move your business forward. So I would want you to do as much of it as you can. And let me know if that answers your question. So once you've got your positioning mapped out, then we really start thinking about how do we leverage this positioning. We've defined our ideal customer, and we understand. We've had some conversations with them, so we're starting to learn what their specific concerns are. Like, now that we know who they are and what specifically the type of service that we're going to provide to help them out, one thing we can do is direct outreach. So that is making, and I'm going to go back to the entertainment example. If we were really focused on costumes, then we'd want to reach out to and contact every costume shop, and we want to contact them with a message that they've never heard before. They might say, yeah, we've been thinking about 3D printing, we've done a bunch of it, we work with this guy down the street, but we didn't know that there was a service bureau that focused maybe not exclusively, but focused specifically on 3D printing for costumes. That's interesting to us, and that's why we're going to call you back. So that would be direct outreach. The other thing that works well is local businesses, because they want to work with somebody local. So that helps out a lot. Then the other thing is the educational content we already talked about. So that's content marketing. So you can do video, articles. Remember, it's not educating them on how to buy your service. It's really figuring out how to be useful to your ideal customer once you've got that figured out. And then also, that could be online events. We're doing a webinar here. Maybe you're able to do that for CAD designers or something like that, or engineers in your space. And then video doesn't have to be live. You could be doing video that is asynchronous. So record some 5-minute videos on something useful to your ideal customer. Then there's also industry groups and events. And I think that people overlook this, because there's a bunch of service bureaus that I talk to where they'll do the additive manufacturing conferences. They'll go because they're looking for customers, but that's it, and they'll stop there. I would think that additive manufacturing conferences would be really tough, because you have so many of your competitors that are there also trying to get business. Like, if you're working in like automotive or aerospace, and all your customers are there, sometimes you need to be there because all your customers are there. I get that. But there's also industry trade groups and industry events in entertainment or automotive or architecture or medical or dental or jewelry that you could be going to. Like, why not go? If you were to decide you want to focus in molds for jewelry or something like that, like, why are you not going to jewelry conferences? Or why are you not participating in online forums around jewelry design? So we really want you to think about your ideal customer. Once you have that defined, what industry groups are they a part of, and what conferences and events do they go to, online and offline events, and you need to be involved there, as opposed to being involved in the additive, only in the additive manufacturing industry. And then we want to leverage our positioning with partnerships. So remember, positioning makes you more referable. If I know that my friend Dave runs a service bureau that focuses on, like I was saying, architecture, then when somebody comes to me in their architectural firm that needs a project done, I'm going to refer Dave because he's got positioning. Like he's differentiated himself in my mind. Where when I hear 3D printing for an architectural firm, I think Dave. But if instead he had generic positioning, like, you know, we'll do anything that's any sort of plastics that, you know, our machines can handle, then I'm not going to refer him because I know 5 other people who could do it, and he's just not even going to come to mind when I'm talking to somebody. So with partnerships, you want to think about what other service companies are out there that have your ideal customer. So if the ideal customer is filmmakers, I'm making this up as I go along here, but let's say it's filmmakers, then who else caters to them? Is it like the post-production shops? Is it other costume design shops? Like, and then you want to partner with them. So those are the people that you want to reach out to. Figure out how to add value to them and build relationships with them so that they will give you leads for customers. And I'll leave it at that for leveraging positioning. But if anybody has any more questions, enter it into the question box. If anybody wants to talk and ask a question, feel free to raise your hand and we can unmute you. But absent any more questions or hand raises, I'm going to turn it back over to Konstantin.
Yeah, we have one more question from Zagdi. So he asking about, is there a disadvantage trying to provide a service for multiple categories rather than just one niche, like prototypes or jewelry?
So if you are small, it's going to be hard to do marketing that's effective. All the things that I'm showing on this slide now. So direct outreach, building educational content, participating in trade groups, partnerships, going out there finding partnerships. If you're small, or just starting out, it's going to be hard to do all of that in multiple industries. So that's really the disadvantage. Now, if you're larger, if you're Xometry or Proto Labs, I didn't check to see if they have any representatives on this webinar. You really are going to have the resources to go after multiple industries, and to be honest, you're going to have a different marketing approach. But if you're smaller, you want to layer them on top of each other. So you start in one area. If you get traction, double down on it. Then you layer another ideal customer or industry on top of it. If you start with one ideal customer and it doesn't work for you for some reason, then you move on. And then also remember, when you're starting out, when you're small, you're always going to take on whatever projects come your way that make sense for you. So just like Jonah was saying, you know, the first projects he did, they were small, they weren't targeted, like he was taking whatever he can get, but he was able to get some case studies in the entertainment space. So he was able to leverage that and decide, well, wait a minute, we should probably focus our marketing for now on the entertainment space, and then layer other industries on top of that later. And that's how he was able to build his service bureau.
Yeah, I want to add on that. So about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when we were running our own shop, so it was pretty the same thing. We're starting to print like everything from like engineering parts to some hobby stuff and things like that. But at one time, we got some order from pretty big customer, and we actually print the big architectural maquette. So, and after that, we just, developed the case study and start sharing this case study with the market, and it works very well for us. So that was just an example of the niche that we can, represent and show the competitive advantage that we can provide for the customer. So, I mean, it's always about not to find, when you just started, it's not about to find the scalable way to do the marketing. You need to start from really unscalable things like direct outreach, like contacting, hundreds of people on every day. Of course, writing the case study. So you need to start from an unscalable way, because again, so the first thing for any for any, maybe founder, it's to find some scalable way on doing the business. But I mean, it's actually it's impossible. You need to start from really unscalable things. You need to start from, again, direct contact the people, direct outreach, sending the emails, giving a call. So you need to start from that. And of course, after that, when you develop your positioning, when you develop the first case studies, when you understand your competitive advantages, after that you can think about the scaling. Like, think about maybe running Google AdWords campaign or something like that. But it's really later. You can do it really later. You need to start from something unscalable. It's first. And secondly, I mean, we have a lot of customers who actually train their customers to, how to use online ordering tool, how to place the orders, how to use this tool. Because again, so it's of course it's beneficial for both parties, for end users and for the shops to use efficient tool to place the order. So you need to train your customers on the way how to place what they need to send to you, in what format, and how to use the online tools. So that's fine. You need to start with a very unscalable thing, and then you can scale it up.
And then we do have a question here from Jim. Jim, you were talking about subcontractors. Constantine, I don't know if we have time to unmute Jim. We can have this conversation, or if we should move on. It's up to you, time-wise.
Yeah, we can unmute Jim. One moment.
Jim, let us know if you have a microphone and you can talk.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We'll only use a couple.
Yeah, I'm not
Jim,
sure
if you're able to talk. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can do it. Yeah. Oh yeah, I no.
Okay, that's all right.
No, I can't.
Okay. So then, Jim, just to answer your question, it sounds like you're working with subcontractors, and what I imagine that looks like is that you're referring jobs to print shops locally or wherever. And Constantine, you know more about what Jim's doing. Does that make sense?
Written question.
Okay. So what Jim was saying was, well, wait a minute, how do we do this type of marketing if we're subcontracting out? And once again, I think you really want to separate the service delivery, which is being done by your contractors, from the marketing, which is being done by you. So at the end of the day, if you're investing in the type of marketing that I'm talking about here, you want to own those leads. So they come to you, you farm them out to your subcontractors, but basically you're not doing marketing on behalf of your subcontractors and sending the leads to their website. You're doing the marketing on behalf of your business. The leads are coming to you, and then you're farming them out as you see fit to your subcontractors. So it would be the same marketing that I'm talking about. You just happen to be servicing the projects using subcontractors, and a lot of us in this space are doing that.
Yeah, and I'll give you another example how we did it in the past. So I remember when we have just like five machines or 5 printers with very certain technology, and we are able to print only certain material. So of course, at the same time, we receive some orders from another materials for another technologies, but we don't have the machines, right? We don't have the technologies. But and in that case, we are of course outsource those orders to the contractors. But later we decide, okay, so if we have a demand, if we generate a demand for this specific technology, for this specific machine, why not to purchase the machine? So just a question, you are developing your marketing positioning, and then later on you deciding like, okay, so I decided to double down on this space, on this technology, to purchase a machine and serve the market with my own in-house capabilities. So I think it's still benefit your business for sure. Yeah.
All right, well, that sounds good, Constantine. I'm going to turn it back over to you. If anybody has questions, this is my email address. Happy to talk shop about positioning. your agency. So just reach out. I'm happy to get on the phone and just spend a little time talking about it. It's the most fun thing that I do.
Yeah, thanks, Dale. I want to share one more thing with you guys. Dale, may I ask you to stop the sharing and I can share my screen? Okay, let me see. Do you know how I can share the screen?
Yes, I will give you the screen if it allows me to. Until it's not. So over to the left, the control panel, there's an orange, and then microphone, and then webcam, and then screen is the third green one.
Oh no, that's not that. Oh yeah, I see. I think I see that. Stop sharing. I can see it. That's really strange.
Yeah, that is, and I'm not able to. Oh, I'm missing it. Oh, I see my problem. I should be able to just give it to you. But this will not let me.
Okay, I think I found it.
Yep, it looks like it's working now.
Yeah, one moment, show capture screen. Oh yeah, I need to allow my computer to do that. Sorry, guys. No, okay, let's do it. All right, so yeah, just a couple things about what we do on the DigiFabster side and how we help the shops again to get more orders. So we just launched the new initiative for actually to connect 3D manufacturers to the people who need any PPE stuff, any personal protective equipment for frontline workers, for clinical. So I will share this with the chat. I will share the link here. So I just sent it to the chat. So we have a new page and new initiative on our website. And yeah, so the main purpose of this initiative purely to connect our shops with people who actually need any personal protective equipment. And so what you can do to participate in the program, just go to the page that I sent to chat, and of course I will send a follow-up email blast to all of you to with this link. So yeah, so our initiative really, we really want to help you to get connected with the people who in need. Of course, we will do some media coverage as well, again to find more people, to find more connections, and that's something that we really want to push in the next couple of weeks, because of course we know that a lot of shops right now looking for the job, not only in the common industries like aerospace and others, because of course it's a slowdown everywhere. So with this initiative, we really want to want to find for you the connection. So we have on this page we have the catalog of all the PPE stuff, all the models that can be downloaded by the people who need, and they can directly go to your shop to upload everything to the widget or to your any of your online system if you have any. So we invite all the shops regardless of the technology they use. So the people can just download things like mask or visor frame, download it and upload it to your online system and place the order. So we are collecting those things on the website, and of course we inviting all the shops who want to participate. So yeah, again, I will send you the link to this page. Yeah, so I think that's it for today's presentation. I think we will have more more sessions like that about the marketing, not only about the technical side of how you do DigiFabster and how promote your shop. So we will have more guests. Of course, we will invite Dale a few more times for sure. Dale, again, thank you so much for your knowledges and for sharing that with the audience. Yeah, I think again, thank you very much, guys, for participating, and yeah, we're waiting for you for the next time. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye bye.
Hey, Constantine, can you still hear me?
Hey, do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just gonna say that
Yeah,
link.
yeah, I'm trying to stop the webinar. I'm not sure how to do that.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
I can stop it.
yeah, please, because I just don't see the